A new story from James Gray. Also follow his stories by liking and subscribing. Was not a passing moment or fleeting emotion, it was the essence of life itself. But her story wasn't like the perfect romances you'd read in novels. It was messy, real, and uncut, filled with heartbreaks, mistakes, and unexpected moments of joy. It all began on a rainy evening when Paula stumbled into the Real, a dimly lit cafe tucked away in the corner of her bustling city. She wasn't there for love, she was there for solace, seeking comfort in the warm embrace of her favorite coffee. But fate had a different plan. That night, as the soft chords of a guitar played in the background, she locked eyes with someone who would change everything, Liam. Liam was everything Paula wasn't. While she thrived on structure and planning, he lived for spontaneity and chaos. His carefree laugh and effortless charm drew her in like a moth to a flame. And as they sat talking until the cafe closed, Anna realized she wasn't just falling for him, she was falling for the version of herself she saw reflected in his eyes, free, fearless, and unfiltered. Their connection was instantaneous, the kind of bond that felt like destiny. Liam had a way of making the world feel lighter, his stories filled with adventures from places Paula had only dreamed of visiting. He spoke of cliff diving in Bali, chasing the northern lights in Norway, and spending a year backpacking through South America. To Paula, who had lived her entire life within the safe confines of her routines, Liam was a breath of fresh air, and a storm she didn't know she needed. As the weeks turned into months, their relationship grew. They balanced on the edge of two worlds, Liam teaching Paula how to embrace uncertainty, and Paula grounding Liam in ways he didn't know he needed. Their love was intense, passionate, and at times, overwhelming. For every moment of joy, there were moments of doubt. Paula feared she wasn't adventurous enough, while Liam worried he could never be the steady presence she deserved. One summer evening, they found themselves at the Real again, the cafe where it all began. Liam had been unusually quiet that day, a far cry from his usual animated self. As they sipped their drinks, he finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I got an offer," he said, his eyes fixed on the coffee cup in his hands. "A chance to work on a documentary in Patagonia. It's a dream come true." Paula felt her heart sink. She knew this moment would come. Liam was never one to stay in one place for too long, and she had always admired that about him. But now, faced with the reality of his departure, she felt a pang of fear. "That's amazing," she said, forcing a smile. "When do you leave?" "In 3 weeks," he replied, meeting her gaze. "I want you to come with me, Paula." The words hung in the air between them. Liam's offer was as exhilarating as it was terrifying. She had always dreamed of seeing the world, but leaving behind her carefully built life felt impossible. For the next few days, Paula wrestled with her decision. Her friends told her she was crazy for even considering it, leaving her stable job, her apartment, her entire life, for someone who thrived on unpredictability. But when she thought about Liam, she couldn't ignore the way he made her feel alive in ways she never had before. On the night before Liam was set to leave, Paula met him at the Real. She found him sitting in their usual spot, his face a mixture of hope and resignation. "I've made my decision," she said, her voice steady. Liam's eyes searched hers, his expression unreadable. "I'm not coming with you," she continued. "But it's not because I don't love you. It's because I need to learn how to take those leaps on my own. You've shown me what's out there, Liam, and I can't thank you enough for that. But I need to find my own path before I can truly be with you." For a moment, Liam looked crushed, but then he nodded, a bittersweet smile on his face. "You're braver than you think, Paula. And if this is what you need, I'll support you. Always." They spent that night talking and laughing like it was their first date, cherishing every moment before the inevitable goodbye. The next morning, as Liam boarded his flight, Paula stood at the airport, watching him disappear into the crowd. She felt a strange mix of heartbreak and hope, knowing their story wasn't over, just paused. Over the next year, Paula transformed her life. She traveled to the places Liam had spoken of, faced her fears, and rediscovered herself in ways she never imagined. And though they kept in touch, their paths rarely crossed, until one fateful evening. As Paula walked into a cafe in a small town in Patagonia, her heart skipped a beat. There, sitting at a table by the window, was Liam, his eyes lighting up the moment he saw her. Paula froze for a moment, her heart racing. Liam's familiar smile spread across his face as he stood up and walked toward her. "I didn't expect to see you here," he said, his voice filled with both surprise and warmth. Paula laughed, trying to steady her nerves. "Neither did I. But I guess life has a funny way of bringing us back to where we're meant to be." Liam pulled out a chair for her, and they sat down. The air between them was electric, filled with unspoken words and questions. Paula couldn't help but notice how time hadn't changed him much. His energy was still magnetic, his presence still calming. But she felt different. She wasn't the same woman who had struggled with fear and doubt a year ago. "So," Liam began, leaning forward, "what brings you to Patagonia?" Paula smiled, her confidence shining through. "A lot has changed since you left. I've been traveling, exploring, and figuring out who I am. I always dreamed of coming here, and I guess I finally worked up the courage to make it happen." Liam's expression softened. "I knew you had it in you. You look happy. Like you found your place in the world." "I think I have," she replied, her eyes meeting his. "And you? How's the documentary?" He grinned, the enthusiasm in his voice unmistakable. "It's been amazing, challenging, but rewarding. I've learned so much, met incredible people, and captured some unforgettable moments." But he hesitated, his gaze growing more intense. Something always felt missing. Paula's breath hitched. She could feel the weight of his words, the unspoken emotions between them. "Liam," she began, but he interrupted gently. "I don't want to rush you or push for something you're not ready for," he said, his voice sincere. "But seeing you here, now, feels like a second chance. Like maybe the timing is finally right." Paula looked at him, her mind racing. She had spent the past year learning how to live for herself, to be independent and fearless. But as she sat there, she realized that being with Liam didn't mean losing that, it meant sharing it. I think I needed this time apart to figure out who I was without you," she admitted. "But now, I feel like I know who I am. And I know what I want." "And what's that?" Liam asked, leaning closer, his voice barely above a whisper. Paula smiled, her heart full of certainty. "You. Us. But this time, on my terms. Together, as equals." Liam's face lit up, his relief palpable. "I wouldn't want it any other way." That evening, they walked through the small town, talking like no time had passed. They shared stories of their adventures, their challenges, and their dreams for the future. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them back together, stronger and more in sync than ever. As they stood under the starry Patagonian sky, Liam reached for Paula's hand. "This time," he said, his voice steady, "let's write the story together." Paula nodded, her smile brighter than the stars above. Together. Their love story wasn't perfect, it was real, uncut, and filled with the beauty of two people learning to grow, both individually and together. And as they began this new chapter, Paula knew one thing for certain: love, when shared with the right person, was worth every risk, every leap, and every moment of uncertainty. The end of this story, or perhaps, the beginning, who knows?
Thank you so much for watching this video. Like and subscribe to help me grow.